Okay, guys, we're hopping on to a kind of weird note, but I'll tell you this backstory. If you don't remember, Malay was the one who kind of scammed the people in Argentina with a meme coin. So the long story short of it, he supported a coin that was supposed to help them, but I guess he didn't look into exactly what it was. And basically, what happened was a rug pull happened, and I think it was like a couple hundred. It was either a couple hundred million or $1 billion taking from his people. But that was basically one of the most enormous scam. No, that was pretty much the biggest crypto scam ever. When your own fucking president does that, and I guess that was a huge ass failure on his part. But I had to check up on him recently, and I found out he actually fixed Argentina. Like what like bro actually succeeded in fixing Argentina. I know this is like over a year into his presidency, but like this man basically cut taxes, cut regulation, cut a bunch of like spending, to stuff. He just let businesses run, cut I think it was 30,000 workers in the government. Somehow this man actually helped Argentina, which is crazy. So looking into his economy and stuff, I actually can't believe it. He did it. He did it. He scammed his people, but then he somehow saved them in the fuck. I bet these people don't know whether to hate him or like him because of that. But anyways, that's my introduction, this is crazy. So let's get into it, cause I saw his plan, I saw everything, and no joke, I actually believe in a lot of the stuff he did, and it worked. It worked. It fucking worked. Yeah, let's get into it.
Javier Milei is turning out to be Argentina's economic savior.
Jesus.
The eccentric president who made headlines for his unorthodox style of announcing public spending cuts.
Oh yeah. Let me give you a little background that I know about him, which is he brought chainsaws to like places he talked, which looked kind of insane. So he was bringing it, and he was basically saying he's gonna cut down the government and shit like that. And another thing is he's basically an anarcho-capitalist. I'm gonna put the definition somewhere here, but that's his main thing, which is kind of less government regulation and more so letting the businesses run, with the government doing only tasks that specifically are for helping the public, rather than basically giving people money left and right for things. He let the government be small, he let the country grow itself rather than interfere with it. And he even treated his taxpayers like adults. Like he told them, "Hey, there is no money. There is no money." I like politicians that tell you the truth and don't lie to you. He said there is no money, which is true. Argentina has no money. If I remember, they went into bankruptcy 5 times. I'll put that up on the screen somewhere. But yeah, like this place basically was a shithole before he came in, and somehow, against all fucking odds, this man did it. Like this is still like probably like 2 years in, but it's crazy. Even Elon Musk praised him for how well he actually did.
Has followed through on his promise to repair the Argentinian economy in just over a year since his election. His savage public sector cuts.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I meant. He literally brought a chainsaw. Like this man looks like a horror movie villain rather than a president. But it fucking worked. Like, it fucking works. And to be honest, that's kind of cool though, because in a way, doing stuff like this got him so much attention because they're gonna be like, "Oh, look at this crazy guy." This is the same thing that happened with Trump in 2016. He was the crazy guy running. He said shit that most politicians would never bother saying. He didn't filter his words. He did crazy stuff that he basically did the Trump method, which was, "Hey, I'm the crazy guy, and you guys are going to focus all your attention on me because everyone else is boring, run-of-the-mill, predictable, and has absolutely nothing important to say." That was basically his strategy. God damn.
Have underpinned the economic recovery.
Bueno, lo primero que tenemos que entender es que el Estado no es la solución. El Estado es el problema.
Oh, I love that. I love that. The state is the problem. And that's one thing I agree with, which is I prefer less regulation over more regulation because more regulation usually results in things being more complicated and taking longer. Like, there is some regulation I'm fine with, but most of it revolves around protecting the citizens rather than controlling the citizens. That's basically my thing. Like, regulations such as a police force, well, that's more like a task force, but things like that, those make sense. Things that fix the roads, things that build roads, all of those make sense. But when it's like very small niche things that make absolutely little to no sense, I believe most of those should be gotten rid of.
Ustedes, si se fijan acá, tienen la gran raviolada que es el Estado, el gran curro y la fuente de la decadencia argentina, que es el Estado.
I love that. He said corruption.
Esta es la foto del Estado que tenemos hoy.
Yep.
Si nos movemos hacia aquella pizarra, Ministerio de Turismo y Deporte, afuera.
Damn! Yeah, get rid of that shit. Ministry of Culture, that sounds ass. Fuck that shit.
Ministerio de Cultura, afuera.
Environment and Sustainable Development, out. Yeah, sure. My thing is, government regulation or environmental regulation should mostly be related to protecting things like parks. I get it. But if it's small things like emissions from your car, it's like no other fucking country does that. No other country decides to do that. Like, just build nuclear power plants. There you go. Problem solved. This is what humans do a lot of the time, which a lot of people just don't understand. Which is, usually, instead of fixing a problem, we usually invent our way out of a problem, which is kind of crazy to think about it, but it works. So if you think about it this way, we used to have a horse poop problem because everyone used horses and there was poop everywhere. They're going to be like, there's going to be poop everywhere. What did we do? We invented a car, and instead of solving the problem, our invention just made horses so obsolete that there was no horse poop left on the roads. Like, that's one of the few examples, but there's a lot of things like that where we just invent a new way to do things. Like, oh, people have trouble making YouTube videos online. Let's make an editing software that they can use, and boom, all those supplies are there, rather than them having to struggle figuring it out themselves using like 10 other programs. They can only use one. Boom. DaVinci, there we go. Done. Things like that. Or like, oh, there's misinformation. Oh, Grok. And there you go. You have Grok now, and you have ChatGPT. Obviously, those things are not perfect yet, but they're gonna get there eventually.
Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera.
Trash. Women and gender oh yeah, get the fuck get that one out of here. I don't like Karens. I don't like any of this shit. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say what a lot of people don't like saying, which is, why is it that a lot of these things that bring women and diversity in it, like, why is it that all the time they make it harder and harder for a business to run? Like, great, gender diversity, great. Instead of picking the one who's best fit for the job, you pick the one who has the right color or the right genitalia for the job. There you go. That's not fixing a problem, that's just adding a problem, and then to fix it, you have to add 2 or 3 more people because apparently that person's not good enough by themselves. And the problem with a lot of these things is the same thing, which is, why are they always only focused on office jobs? The moment you say military, construction, or sewage, garbage, you know what happens to all these women? They don't appear. They don't fucking appear. They decide that they don't feel like doing jobs like that, so they don't come. They only pick jobs that they like. They don't pick the jobs that have a small amount of women. They pick jobs that have air conditioning, nice offices, and all that stuff. Basically things that can pamper them rather than things that help society, but the conditions are harder. Which is the main problem I see with a lot of these things. They add women to nice cushy jobs, but the moment the air conditioning has to be fixed, 99% of the time you're going to get a dude fixing it. Because women don't want to do jobs like that. Because these women, but I 100% agree with this. I just looking at the name, I can tell this is a bullshit job. And why the fuck are they called a ministry? Like, a fucking ministry sounds like a supervillain organization. Like, come on, man, get rid of that shit. The only ministry that's good is the Ministry of Darkness, nothing else.
Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y
Basura!
Diversidad, afuera.
Ministry of Public Works, I don't even know what that means, but get the fuck out of
Ministerio de
here.
Obras Públicas, afuera.
Yeah!
Vamos a seguir por acá.
Science and Technology and Innovation. To be honest, that one actually sounds kind of useful.
De Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación, algo bien del sector privado. Nada.
Nothing good came out of the pirate.
Bueno salió el sector público.
Oh, that one actually might have been useful. I'll give that one credit.
Afuera. Ministerio de Trabajo, Empleo y
Labor,
Seguridad Social.
Employment, and Social Security out. The only thing that I really agree with is Social Security, because, you know, that's one identification for citizens. So I get the other ones getting rid of them, but Social Security, that actually seems like something that's, you know, useful.
Fuera. Ministerio de Educación.
Oh yeah, get the fuck out of education. I'm gonna tell you this. Most of these things make kids dumber rather than make them efficient at learning. This is the thing. They don't teach children facts. They teach children how to think, and they don't even teach children to think effectively. I don't know how it works in Argentina, but in the US, they're less likely to fail students, specifically because then the state gives you less incentives and money if you do. Well, a lot of students don't deserve to pass, but they do anyways because, you know, schools want money, even if it means letting people who are undercooked and underseasoned pass in order to go to the next grade. Like, too fucking bad. You failed school. Try again.
Afuera.
Yeah.
And the results speak for themselves. Milei has done what other world leaders have tried and failed to do.
Damn.
Under his leadership, inflation has dropped from a whopping 12.8% in 2023 to just 1.5% in 2024.
Holy crap, that's huge. Yo, that's huge. 1 point. Damn. Damn, that's actually crazy the amount it fell. I don't know how to say this, but bro came from scamming his own people to actually saving his country. Like, bro, that's like a super villain origin that only makes sense in anime that somehow happened in real life.
Milei's deep spending cuts all but halted the economy in 2024 to get inflation under control, but this year has been a different story. Economic growth has punctuated Milei's leadership this.
Yeah, that's the thing, because the more regulation you get rid of, the more like growth businesses have. So it's like this steady line of how much you want businesses to do versus how much you want, you know, to help the citizens. If you want to help the citizens, the economy grows less to a certain extent. But if you let go of red tape and a lot of all that stuff, then the private sector grows faster, and in change, that helps the civilians that way. It's this weird, delicate mix where you just have to do it just right, and somehow he managed.
This year, with Argentina experiencing 3 consecutive quarters of economic growth.
Damn.
The economic resurgence is also...
Bro, he's on the $100 bill. oh, let me tell you about this. He wants to get rid of the peso for Argentina. Just so you know, the peso is so valueless that yen in Japan cost more money than a peso. So a yen in Japan is the equivalent of a little over 8 pesos. And that shit is wild. And one thing he wants to do is he wants to get rid of the Argentinian currency because I'm going to say it, it's literal dog water. It doesn't mean anything. Like, it's literal dog water. It's literal trash. You could literally wipe your ass with it and it would have more value afterward than it did before you stained it. Like, I'm not fucking joking. And basically what he wants to do is he wants to use the US dollar basically as the standard for their economy, where the weaknesses are they can't control the dollar because it's, you know, a foreign goddamn nation. But the strength is it's a more stable currency, and because of that, they can get rid of banks, they can get rid of a lot of stuff like that. So it's this weird, delicate mix where the US dollar basically is accepted all across the world, but at the same time, you're letting a foreign nation dictate to you exactly how much things are valued, which is the only weakness. And also, the bank, when things go bad, are unable to print money if they need things like relief because, this is currency from a sovereign nation. So they can't do shit like that either.
Being felt in the streets, with Argentinians holidaying more, enjoying leisure activities, and spending their money on discretionary items. Like cars, which has seen an 84% increase in purchases.
Yo, 84, that's crazy. That's pretty much almost double the amount of people buying cars. Like that is a great news for them. Yeah, I definitely support that. Holy crap.
In the first few months of 2025. Real estate sales have also soared by 66% this year. And Malay's scrapping of rent control has led to a 40% drop in rental prices, as well as a 300% increase in rental property supply.
But damn, you saw that 40% cut to rental prices. Holy shit. Think about this. Like, my rent here in Florida is like roughly 1,500. That's the equivalent of cutting off probably $600 off of my rent. Dude, that would help so much here. But yeah, that's really good for them. Imagine all the families that helps. That helps. That extra money goes a long way.
In Buenos Aires, online commentators have slammed the mainstream media for labeling Malay as a right-wing nut job.
Exactly. The thing is, damn, I 100% agree. Why is it that always the nut job is from the right wing, not from the left wing? Why? Like, that's the thing that I always saw about media that pissed me off. It's like, there are nut jobs in the left wing. They're called socialist and communist. And yet, they're called geniuses instead by a lot of these people. And that's bullshit. Well, what this guy did is basically let capitalism run, like, I wouldn't say completely wild, but close to that. And then it worked. And that's it. The end. It's a pretty cool way of going through with things, and man, I'm surprised. I'm surprised how much I agree with this guy, even though personally, like, I still remember that crypto coin shit.
Despite saving the country. This commentator said, "Never forget, the media and professional class labeled him a dangerous far-right lunatic because he wanted to cut spending."
Exactly. And at least in America here, I remember when Trump cut... Oh, I forgot what it was called. I'll put it up if I remember. But after he cut something, like, we found out funding was going to the BBC. And no, I don't mean that BBC. I mean the actual news organization, you fucking weirdos. But anyways, why the hell were we paying for a news station from a foreign nation that we could care less about? Why the hell were we paying for that? Like, things like that. My guess is there probably was some sort of funding that went to the media through Argentina as well. Because that's a big reason why the media wouldn't be happy about it. Because if their funding is cut, great, they're going to have to actually be more reputable and waste more employees doing shit.
And this commentator agreed, saying South America is on the rise. This is so good. El Salvador and Argentina showing what can happen with honor and reason and...
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, these small places, like El Salvador, I forgot what the president's name was, but he put everyone in prison, and boom, El Salvador is one of the safest places on the planet. That's what he did, and it worked. I'll put it up, but damn, that's crazy. I know the United States is not really equivalent, because these are far smaller countries with far less land, but it is possible for us. It's just gonna be a lot harder just because of how giant the US is compared to these two smaller countries. Like, that's the biggest problem we have here. It's just the sheer size doesn't really equal the same, doesn't really equal the same amount of progress. Yep.
Understanding economics. And whilst Argentina is experiencing renewed optimism driven by Malay's economic growth, the rest of the world, particularly the US,
wait, they just lick it?
Growth. The rest of the world, particularly the US, is watching on with envy. This commentator said, "So jealous of Argentina that they can actually cut spending." And
100%. This is why Doge was a very good implementation, but we need Doge to run even crazier than it already is. Like, the US has so many small things because of how big the country is, to the point where it's gonna suck, but ours is gonna take far longer and it's gonna be far more annoying to implement. But I believe it's gonna take far longer than Trump. And yes, I know, I made a video on the Epstein files. I made 4 of them. You can watch them. I'm not happy about that shit. But anyways, but yeah, I believe we need more time than them because we're just too fucking big. That's the biggest problem. And things take like 30 fucking years to process in Congress and all that stuff. And that, man, that shit's inefficient.
And the US can't.
Ooh.
There was a time not so long ago when the US and Argentina were on the same path with savage public sector cuts. Malay, Trump, and Elon Musk were in a bromance, exchanging notes.
Damn, I did not know they were cool with each other like that.
On slashing waste, cutting inflation, and growing the economy.
Look at that, Elon Musk. He brought the USA chainsaw. Like, god damn, man. Wow, this is kind of crazy. I never knew about these guys all kind of being tied together in that way.
But whilst Argentina has forged ahead with this strategy, some say the US has stalled. This commentator is getting restless, saying,
"Yep, better get to the spending cuts in a hurry. Elon is not playing around. Not to mention, it is the second biggest issue for Trump voters behind mass deportations." Probably at the time this was correct, but right now I would say not really. But at the time, definitely this tweet was definitely correct.
GOP better get to the spending cuts in a hurry. Elon is not playing around. Not to mention, it is the second biggest issue for Trump voters behind mass deportations. And it's true, Elon Musk is not backing down from his dream of small government.
You get taxed on what you own. You get
bro. Before he continues, let me tell you exactly how it's like. So before I get my paycheck, they tax me. Like, they give me like 3 different taxes. Then when I want to buy something, they tax me again. Then after buying something, I pay rent, which also goes to taxes, so they tax me again. Then after I'm done with that, at the end of the year, they tax me again when I'm filing taxes. That's not to mention all the other little things you pay taxes on, but like that's insane. It's like, you tax me here, you tax me there, you tax me there. You tax me like 20 different times on the same fucking money from the same goddamn paycheck. You expect me to be happy. That's crazy. Alright, here we go. I'm going to tell you all the type of taxes I can remember from my head. First of all, income taxes, payroll taxes, social security, stuff like that. Capital gain taxes, inheritance, estate, whatchamacallit, self-employment, real estate tax, property tax, wealth tax, sales tax, state tax, there's also sin taxes, things like that. There's probably property taxes too, things like that. But there's a lot more. But those are all the taxes I can remember off the top of my head.
Taxed on what you buy, and you get taxed on what you own.
Yep.
Taxes. You know, and then what does it get spent on? A bunch of the stuff it gets spent on you don't even agree with.
I agree with that. Like, there's a bunch of shit taxes doesn't even go to. That's stupid. Like, I get roads, I get building bridges, I get law enforcement, but then there's other things like, I remember the Sesame Street in fucking Iran and some shit. That was fucking awful.
So you know that's why we need to reduce the size of government and just spend less money and let the people keep a lot more of their hard-earned money. Yeah.
Yo, why did it freeze?
But the tech entrepreneur and richest man in the world has ended his friendship with Donald Trump over the One Big Beautiful Bill, which he claims will undo all of the positive work that Doge undertook under.
Yeah. It's like one of those things that sucks because I think I also talked about this too. But basically the whole point of the Big Beautiful Bill was it gave a lot of cuts to people, but it also increased the amount the government spent. I think it was like 3 point something trillion dollars the government spent. So basically, what it did was spit on the face of Elon Musk and all his accomplishments, because for all that he accomplished, you see this bill coming in, and it's like, what was I here for? What the fuck was I here for? I cut all these taxes just for that. But then there's the Trump side of thing, which, to be honest, I get it. It's like first you have to get all the Republicans on board, but then you lose some Republicans. So what you have to do is add things that some Democrats would like for them to vote it in. But then doing that in turn loses you more Republicans. So it becomes this big jumbled up mess that becomes very difficult to implement. Where you want to do more, you want to spend less, you want to do all that, you want to have it perfect. But Congress, because of how annoying it is, you had to do little favors for other people because you lost Republicans that would have voted for that shit. And now you're basically pissed off. You're pissed off because you have to, give those people a little more for them to vote. And then in exchange, it makes your bill far more expensive and pork-filled, as Elon Musk said. So it's an issue that I agree with both sides. I do think it's better off if Trump, after that, doesn't pull anything else that increases the deficit and just keeps lowering it with Doge. Because that would be perfect if nothing else that added that much money to the deficit existed. Like, I think we just have too many things that kept adding more and more money to our deficit until we eventually just ran fucking wild out of control.
His leadership.
I was like disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly.
Yeah.
Which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, like, everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
Yep.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both.
Exactly.
My personal opinion.
But White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller hit back at Musk, saying the public will not listen to him.
Bill, the largest tax cut and reform in American history, the largest spending cut in American history, the largest welfare reform in American history, the largest reduction in federal spending ever achieved in a single bill, and then it also includes...
Oh yeah, basically the premise of this bill was, I think it was the next 10 years, if done correctly, we would spend far less money than we would have without the bill. That's also a piece of it, but that requires a lot of things going perfectly, which really, really, really hurts to see.
The most robust, comprehensive border security and immigration enforcement package we've ever seen. One that will allow us to deport millions upon millions of invaders. To oppose this bill is to support the invasion. To oppose this bill is to support the continued giveaways and freebies to cheaters and scam artists. To oppose this bill is to support a 68% tax hike on the American public.
And that's the thing. Both sides can be true. For me, the big beautiful bill, I agree with it more than I disagree with it. But I completely agree with every point Elon Musk has. It's one of those things where it's like, it sucks, but it would have been, I guess it's better than nothing. Like, it progresses a lot of things, but it also adds a huge deficit. It's one of those things that fucking sucks, but you know how it works. Compromises are annoying.
Also, to oppose this bill is to support a deprivation of all of the tax benefits that President Trump is fighting to deliver the middle class, like no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. The Senate passed this bill just today, demonstrating that they are fighting for President Trump. They are fighting for his agenda. They are not going to listen to an outside voice that does not represent the interests of the American people or the interests of the Republican Party. And the House is going to rally behind President Trump to pass.
Bro, he's not an outside voice. He was literally part of the Trump administration for like 120 days. Bro, don't accuse him of that shit. Like, bro was Trump's best buddy until the spending bill, basically.
Pass this bill for America.
But yeah, that to me is shocking. Like, he actually did it, which is crazy. And yeah, that's pretty much it.